Hey, everyone. Dr. Minesha here, affectionately known as Dr. M. Welcome to the Peace Driven Leader Lounge, where we take and invite leaders from all over the planet, leaders of leaders who are not ordinary, they're extraordinary in the way they love, they live, and they lead. And we want to be able to have real conversations with real leaders who are serious about transformation. And I want to welcome Dr. Lisa to the lounge. Thank you so much for your presence. It's so glad to have you in the studio today, virtually. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to be here, Dr. M. I really am.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to this time.
Yes, me too. Now, before we dive into the conversation, I just want to do my disclaimers to those of you all who are listening. As you know, we don't intentionally try to ruffle feathers, right? We just really are convicted about speaking our truth with clarity. And everybody is coming from different experiences, background, expertise, and they're sharing their legacy level insight, their leadership insight, their wisdom that they have learned, their lessons and concepts that they have learned. And my challenge to you is that when you listen, lean in and watch for any resistance, because that is where your growth lies. And allow your curiosity to explore what else that could mean, right? It could be an opportunity for you to elevate your thought. It could be an invitation for you to do more research or to question even the values and the standards that you have existingly, and see if that's an opportunity for you to evolve, right? And this is what I love so much about these conversations, is that it is giving everyone in the room an opportunity to listen with a sense of curiosity and really just open our minds to everything that's being said. I have no idea what Dr. Lisa is going to say of her project that I would love to talk about, her recent book launch that she has that we're going to dive into. But these conversations are not scripted. We live in a world of artificial intelligence, you all. And so we love to be able to embrace real conversations. I'm also going to give you a heads up that my son is battling the flu and he is with his father now. And I want to keep my eyes on him as we're doing this. So you may hear a little coughing in the background, and that's okay. That's just the way life sometimes. Well, I say we're having a real moment, a real conversation. Let's get started with some context, Dr. Lisa. Tell us a little bit about, what life looked like for you before you wrote the book, and if you're a mom or a wife or whatever you got going on. Would love to hear that. And then let's jump into any experience you have in a corporate space or serving corporate professionals. And then we can start the conversation from there.
I am a divorced mom of two now young adults. I am so very proud of. Um, I excuse me. Uh, Please forgive me. This is lifing. We're all getting through some sort of
Time of
a little
year,
health
right?
challenge. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But so that's where I am. They're grown out of the house. I'm empty nester and have been for some time, and recently retired. So a whole
Oh,
new phase of life.
oh, wow. So you just retired. That's nice. That's lovely. So how was the landscape for you after retirement? How has that been?
So the landscape has been challenging. In
Oh,
fact,
Lord.
yeah, in fact, I knew that I would transition out of my career at some point in time, but
Uh-huh.
I ended up um, transitioning out sooner than I had anticipated,
How many
which
years?
after working 36 years. And
Wow. That's
yeah.
incredible. I have a client of mine, and actually a relative as well. That number 36 is so interesting. A cousin, she also retired after 36 years. That's a long time to be doing anything. And I
It
would love to hear your experience because I've been talking to more and more people that have hit retirement and really have been surprised by some of the responses and some of the experiences and emotions and all the things that nobody talks about that comes along post retirement. So please share.
so what that even though we have retirement training and classes to talk about
Mm,
the money and
mhm.
savings and being certain you're able to take care of yourself financially, what I would have wished had happened is that someone got into the emotional aspects,
I'm telling I keep hearing this.
got
Oh
into
my goodness.
the psychological aspects, the retirement grief part of it,
Yep.
and so what that has done for me is launched me in that area. So there's a gap.
Mm.
And so
Yes.
I am filling that gap. Um,
My God. That's
yeah,
incredible. That's incredible. That excites me so much to hear because you're absolutely 1,000% right. There is a grief. You have to understand that so much of the identity was intertwined in the role, and it's literally, you know, naive to think that it's almost like a marriage, you know,
right.
and it's like
Exactly.
a divorce. Yeah, it feels like even though it's celebrated when you leave, there's still that separation that has to happen.
And
So,
even though it may be time to go, right? It may be very well time to shift, but not talking about no one shares, okay, what's next? And sitting at home after doing the same routine for 30 years, 40 years, regardless of what kind of job you had, mine was very demanding. Full
mhm,
calendar, worked more than 40 hours a
mhm.
week.
2
Uh,
phones.
yeah, two phones, and even when taking vacation, taking the work phone with you and doing work and still
Right.
taking meetings and everything, and to go from that to zero.
Wow.
So to go from 200 to zero, and then your value, as you mentioned, your value, your identity, everything that you are, you don't realize it at the time, is wrapped
Um,
up in what you have been doing for those decades.
and I imagine too, just the way you're treated as well. I know, like I'm just thinking about my cousin. I mean, she worked for the federal government. They named the conference room after her. I
Yeah,
mean, much love to Tammy Howard Denson. I mean, it was the things that were said. It was like she made such a incredible, remarkable mark, especially as a woman of color in the industry.
yeah.
So talk about that. Just, I'm sure, the rolling of the carpet, the admiration, the people knowing your name before you walk in the room, to that not being the case. See, is that like, did you experience
That is a real thing.
it? Yeah,
So showing up in spaces and being the mover and the shaker when you show up
yeah,
in spaces and everybody's asking what do you need and making sure everything
yeah,
is set up the way that you need it set up, and all you have to do is make a telephone call and whatever you need is available to you, and showing
uh,
up in spaces where everybody knows you, the acknowledgement is there. You paved
yeah,
the road, right? And to go
right.
from that to showing up in spaces and it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
right,
hey, don't you know who I am?" And it's like, "Yeah, you're not her anymore." And so
right.
who is she now?
Oh
Who
my
am
goodness.
I now?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
What
for sure.
value what value do I have? What how do I show up in spaces now? What do I say I do?
Mhm,
Who do I say that I am? And and forging that path. I
mhm,
truthfully, I can see how people retire, and I would say women in particular because I'm a woman,
mhm.
retire and they end up depressed, and
Absolutely,
they end
absolutely.
up, I now have a better understanding of when you hear the statistics of people retiring and dying shortly after, because to go from
Mm,
all of the activity to nothing. Now, and I will fully transparent, in the retirement
mm,
class, they were very clear in saying, "Make sure you have something else to do when you retire." I
mm.
get that. But having something else to do versus a whole reinvention
Yes,
that you're
of your
going
identity.
through,
Yeah,
oh, are 2
totally
different
different
things.
thing.
Those are
Absolutely.
2 different conversations.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
those of you who are listening right now and you're approaching retirement, you're really in a very golden opportunity
Yes.
because, even to be listening right now. And one of the key things you want to remind yourself is that when you go to work, you don't want to work for worth, right? Or worthiness. You want to work from it. And a lot of times when we're doing that, we're working for him and for the next promotion, for the approval, for the boss to acknowledge us, and for the whatever they give at the end of the quarter banquet or whatever. When we start working for those things, it really puts us in a very compromising place. So that when that time does come, that fall is so far and damaging. And so now you have the opportunity to do that inner work before you get to that time. Because like you said, it's not if, it's when. We're all gonna
Exactly.
reach that point. If you're in corporate America, that time will come. And also, too, a succession plan. That's one of the things that we've incorporated in the app as well. For those who are listening for the first time, I Lead, We Rise. Download it. You'll be very um, impressed with the level of sophistication that the metrics have in a peace-driven way. So you're able to really have sophisticated metrics. I'm using metrics lightly just because I know that that's a word that corporate people are familiar with, but it is definitely not it does a disservice to what it really is as far as the experience in the app, because it is not performance based in that way. And that's why we call it peace. How do you move from peak performance to peace performance? So I would love to hear a little bit more about some of the things that you would like to serve that particular demographic, and things that people that are listening that have been working in their space for 15, 20, 30 plus years and they're moving in that direction. What are some key things that you would like for them to know?
So as a leader, I like to shorten the learning curve. I felt like I didn't wanna be in this gray space
Mm,
um for 3 years, 5 years. I wanted to shorten the learning curve for myself. So I did a deep dive, and I like to say a come to Jesus conversation um with myself, and did some
mm,
very hard work
yeah, yeah.
that and as you mentioned, moving from peak performance to peace, right? And so I wrote a book that basically, and it's not a memoir, but it it chronicled over 90 days,
Mm,
basically like a blueprint to get to a space to even be able to reinvent and
mm.
reimagine what life will look like from in this stage, in this chapter
Oh my
for
God,
me,
that's powerful.
right? And
Powerful stuff.
so I wrote it down because just in case there's someone who needs it. I'm big on, you
Absolutely.
know, where is a book? Where is it? And I did research.
Mm.
I looked
You
for
found that gap.
materials. Right, and I looked for materials, and I found some, but they were written by individuals who may not have a full appreciation for all that makes up me as as a
Mm,
woman, as
mhm.
a woman of color, and all of the different demographics that that I
100%.
represent. And so yes, so so over those 90 days, it wasn't a matter of, again, not performative,
Right.
right? Not, okay, do 20 jumping jacks today. No, not,
Yeah.
but asking thought-provoking questions that, because we were so busy, we never
Uh-huh.
had the
Uh-huh. That's
opportunity
it.
to ask the
Yes.
question.
Yes. That's it.
And to
That's
even
right.
imagine something different. Like you said at the top of the program, the point where you feel resistance, to lean into it. Don't walk away from it. But for what I have done is leaned into the resistance
Mhm. Mhm.
to not only ask the questions, but answer them.
So
And
good.
answer them honestly in a
Yes.
safe space, honoring all that I am in order
Mhm.
to be able to reframe and
Mhm.
build a foundation for what is next.
Right. I love that. You know, one of the things that really rung loud to me is when you emphasize all that I am, because I don't think that there's enough conversations around the multifaceted, multi dimensions that we have as leaders, especially women. There's so
Yes,
many facets to us. And I believe that you can have integrity in your by having the principles, standards, and values. And that's what keeps you integral. But the dimensions of you,
yes,
multiple things can be the same at the same time, can be true at the same time, right?
absolutely.
And sometimes I think that certain parts of us judge other parts of us. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And so I know when I was doing my own work, even like when you hit certain seasons where you don't want to work out or you don't want to be the good girl and do all the things and follow the system or the regimen or the food plan or all the responsible adulting. You're like, we tend to just immediately judge that part of ourselves, right? Oh, you're not complying. Oh, that's the part of you that just needs to, no, I lean into that.
Yep.
What is that feeling? Sometimes it's a solution in there to do something a different way. That's how I ended up finding my soulmate workout, Pilates. I just didn't like going to the gym. That wasn't my thing. And it wasn't until I stopped judging myself for dreading going there that I was able to say, you know what? That's just not my workout. It doesn't align with me. And now when I do the Pilates, it's just like I'm enjoying it. You could still be pleasurable. So that's one of my things is to find pleasure again and redefine, what pleasure is. What are some things that while you were going through your process that you found to be like your new pleasures?
I appreciate that, because that is part of the 90-day process is, okay, you need to exercise. You need to do something, but finding what you enjoy and not judging yourself because it's not 3 hours in the gym.
That's
You
it.
know? It
You know?
giving yourself permission to find what works for you. And, so one of the things that I wanted to do that I wasn't able to do due to my schedule and timing and raising children and that sort of thing was to travel extensively internationally. Now, I have traveled internationally and did travel, but extensively,
Like weeks and months at a
weeks,
time.
months, actually months. And
Ooh,
as we're recording
wow.
this, I am sitting in another country.
What country are you in?
I am in Thailand right now as as we're recording,
Oh, that's on my list. Awesome.
but to
That's
give
beautiful.
myself permission
Yeah,
to say, "Oh, okay, well, Lisa, at this stage, what's holding you back other than you?
that's it.
And what's holding you back other than possibly your concern about what people might think? But those people aren't living your life. right? Those individuals, it's not you, and giving yourself permission, giving myself permission to pursue my joy, which
Yeah.
is planting my feet on soil in foreign lands or places I've never been before, immersing
Mm.
myself in cultures that have always fascinated me, and having that experience. Now, this is not going to be probably the rest of my life, but who knows? I'm taking each day at a time,
Yeah, allowing
right?
it, let it flow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's so much
Absolutely.
liberation. I mean, even in your tone of your voice, it's just, I just want to fly right now. Like, I just feel like, yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh,
And
it's
and
so
helping
beautiful.
women and helping women get in that space where they
Yeah.
feel that for them,
Yes.
whatever that is, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We, I mean, we definitely deserve it. We deserve it. And I mean, when you talked about your life and you were able to, I mean, just off of just these few minutes so far, you said I was a divorce, you've been married, you've transitioned from that, you've dominated into the corporate space, you embodied motherhood, your children are now of independent. No, heck yeah. It's the time is for you to, you know what I mean? To go and just be. And
Absolutely.
that is rare that you are um getting a chance to experience the world in that way in this phase. And for those of you who are listening, I'm going to remind you as well that retirement used to be an age, but now it's just a number, you
Yes.
know? And so what Dr. Lisa is talking about, you can have at any point that you decide, depending on how focused you want to be at that goal and hitting whatever that number is for you. But the main thing that reigns supreme in this discussion that lights my soul on fire is to really find out like what ignites you, create that pathway where your inner divine identity is leaping,
Yes.
literally leaping, like what makes it leap you. And then to also think about the book. So we have to talk about the book because, this is legacy work. And so, when you're thinking about retirement, it's such a amazing opportunity to serve the world in a way where you can reflect like publicly, like have your reflections and let other people learn from them. That's like the greatest level of stewardship. That's what it's for,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I love that you've been able to do that. So tell me more like about, first of all, what's the title of the book?
So the title of the book is Losing the Weight, and it's WAIT. And the
Oh, I
subtitle
love it.
is, yeah, Losing the Weight, 90-Day Faith, Freedom, Flow, and Flourishing Blueprint for Midlife Reinvention. Because as you said, Dr. M, several things can be true at the same time. I'm a
Yeah.
woman of faith, right? This next chapter is a season of freedom, flowing into that season and flourishing from this point forward, right? And losing the weight is when we've been in the corporate space and doing something for so long, there are a number of things that we put on hold, that we said, wait. Oh, I'll
Mm,
wait to do that until. I'll
mm,
wait and do this until. Oh, I'll wait. That
mm.
has to wait. I have to wait. Life has to wait because these other things are the priority for the time, which is fine and perfectly understandable. But in this season, we get to lose the weight.
Oh my, my, my. I love that so. Oh, how I love that so. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we get to lose the weight. So now that we no longer have to wait,
Mm,
what is faith calling us to? That's the foundation.
mm,
What has freed up for us in our soul that we're able to pursue? How are we able to flow into this next stage of our journey and flourish as we do it? And a flourishing place is vibrancy, is life.
mm.
It's just so much whatever flourish looks like for each individual, but it's such a freedom place. It's
Yes.
such a liberated space, and it's a
Mhm.
lifestyle. It's not a
Yes.
day, it's not a moment in time, it's a lifestyle.
I love that so. And one of the things I can't help but to acknowledge is that when we think about flourishing and the other side, there's this peace and then there's this joy. At the same time, before you can get to that side of the outcome, I can imagine the level of fear that one must feel because they've used the weight as the crutch for so many years. You know what I
That part,
mean? So it's like
that
when
part.
you remove that, it's like, oh, that feeling you get where it's like, oh, you can't use it anymore. It's like it could be a rushing anxiety that comes in, you know?
Absolutely.
So I love that you have this 90-day process because just even me thinking about how that must feel, it feels scary before it feels flourishing, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And because it's unknown territory. That's what
Right.
fear is. It's typically the
Yeah.
fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Where do I step? What do I do next? And what do we do when we are afraid? Is a lot of times we do nothing.
That's
We're
right.
stagnant. Because I don't even know what to do. I
Yeah.
don't know where to
Freeze,
go.
paralyzed.
So
Mm,
paralysis from analysis, right? So you
mhm.
know what? I'm gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
And then before we know it, 6 months has passed, a year
Yeah.
has passed, 2 years have gone by, and before we know it, we look up one day and it's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't take advantage of the
Yeah.
time. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to
Yeah.
begin. I have
And then
no
even to think
guidebook."
about the health, you know?
Yeah.
Health wise. Because I was listening to another podcast and she made a bold claim and she was talking about how she really believes that the body essentially turns on itself whenever it's not purposeful. So the health begins to decline because it's like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
What is the purpose here? And I feel like that's how you end up accelerating your transition and leaving too prematurely because you've lost that sense of purpose. And so at the same time, when you do activate that reinvention of yourself, then you're literally awakening a new version of yourself, like life,
Yes.
literal life is being birthed and it extends that lifespan. Powerful
I
stuff.
agree with that. And as a cancer survivor, that life experience when the phone rings and the doctor on the other end says, "You have cancer." Those 3 words, "You have cancer." And the trajectory for each person is different. And the healing journey for every person with cancer is different. But one thing that is similar in a common thread is you look at life differently
Yes, yes.
and you make a commitment to yourself to experience life differently.
Mm,
And I did not, when you talk about the health piece, I did not want to find myself in a predicament where I was challenged health wise again, right? Um, or wasting precious time because we don't know how much time we have.
That's right.
And so shortening the learning curve was important for me in order to maximize whatever time I have left on this planet that only God knows. I want to ride life until the wheels fall.
Yes, you better go. Don't get me over here. Oh my God. What a powerful message and a powerful message that you get to share to the world. Thank you so very much for your wisdom, for your insight, for your boldness, your courage, to say yes to yourself, to say yes to the calling, the inner calling that was
Yeah.
happening within. And I'm just so grateful that our paths crossed when it did. And for those of you all who are listening, I admonish you to check out Dr. Lisa's book even before you retire, because mentally, I think it's such a good idea to prepare yourself mentally before that time and to start thinking about those things. And that's one of the things I love the way you said it, ask thought provoking questions. That's what the app does in every area of leadership. It literally asks those questions where you're like, I've never been asked that before. Because
Yes.
truly, answers are slaves to questions. If you ask it and you answer it, it literally is a catalyst to transformation. And so I love that your book is doing that, because it creates this co-collaborative energy in this, this moves from curiosity. It moves you from fear and anxiety to that
Yeah,
creativity, so I'm excited about your work and the impact it's making. And I'm looking forward to continuing the work that in the terms of retirement, for sure. Totally a gap that needs to be addressed, for sure. And this is what we do here, you all. We are creating sacred spaces for leaders of leaders who really want real transformation. And a lot of times it's hard to be able to do this type of soul work because everybody is expecting us to have it all together, right? They admire us. They look to us. And so there's certain things we can't really show, not because we don't want to be transparent per se, but because it's just not wise for the people who are following. So it's very important that you have these communities where you can have these real conversations about life, you know? You
absolutely.
can be a top performer and sharp and excellent and great contributor to your company and still be struggling in an area. And that is okay. That only makes you human. And so if you're listening to this and somebody shared this or you came across this, however you did, I'm so glad you did. Continue to hang out with us in the lounge as we continue to have these conversations. And I say ruffle feathers is from a soul place, because there's things that are said that pricks your soul. It awakens and it causes discomfort because your soul has been waiting to be heard. And so when it hears a frequency that aligns, it literally, it leaps, it moves, you know what I mean? And it creates that disruption. And it's like that shake the nest, that God tends to do when he wants to get you out of your comfort zone, right? That's what happens on these podcasts. And so embrace it. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So if you had to leave the beautiful people with one thing before we leave the lounge today, what would your one thing be?
First, I want to thank you, Dr. M, for creating such a safe space. Thank you for creating the podcast. Thank you for the lounge. Thank you for the transparent conversation and honest conversation. I appreciate it. One thing I'd like to leave with those listening is that you can lose the weight. This is a time to dream big and take big steps and big actions. This is the season for it. You are at the point in space and time to live the life you have put on hold for so long.
My, 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 my. And it is so, and so it is. Dr. Lisa has said it on tonight. Listen, you all, regardless of what day or time it is in the country, wherever you are around the planet, may this permeate in your soul. May it awaken you. And until we meet again, remember, it's not about how much you carry. It's about how well you carry it. And peace-driven leadership is not something that you find. It's something you create. And this, as Dr. Lisa said, now is your moment to create it. Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye bye for now.